Hi and welcome to SCW, the wrestling channel here on YouTube.com. Thank you for choosing the channel and choosing the video. Please subscribe right now. Leave any comments in the comment section. Please like and share the video as well. Going to be talking WWE SummerSlam 2020, the match card and predictions. This is recorded after WWE Raw. If any more matches are announced, I will do a separate video for them. Although quickly, I will touch on Matt Riddle versus King Corbin, which I do expect to be announced. Matt Riddle, new to the SmackDown roster, is actually rumoured to be in the top 3 of baby faces already in the SmackDown side. King Corbin, have loved his King's Ransom. I think it's been great fun. It's included Shorty G and others in this storyline, but I do expect Matt Riddle to pick up the victory. But let's go into matches that are official, that we know for SummerSlam for sure, and we can kick things off with the street fight between Seth Rollins and Dominik Mysterio, which I think has been a good little twist. Now, of course, originally this was supposed to be Kevin Owens, but I think it makes sense for Dominik to have this spot. It's great to see him in the ring. He's done great work, even though he's green up to now. He's been battered most of the time by the likes of Brock Lesnar or caned heavily by Seth Rollins and Murphy, but he's played his roles very well despite being quite green at this stage. But as of this week, we know it's now a street fight between him and Rollins, and Rey Mysterio has returned and will be in the corner of Dominik at SummerSlam. So for where it felt a very clear Seth Rollins victory, now there are no rules and Rey is in the corner. Don't forget Samoa Joe is also on commentary, who's sort of had a little bit of a part to play the last couple of weeks within this feud as well, although he has been told his job is on the line if he was to intervene. So you'd expect he wouldn't intervene, but in a match with no rules, if Samoa Joe is cleared to compete and maybe would come off the commentary table, maybe it's something we could see. That is a potential that could happen. I mean, let's just say you'll never see it coming. We might be saying that quite a bit during this video. It is the tagline for SummerSlam. But to give a prediction, I think that we've got the Monday Night Messiah here, and I think he needs the Sunday Night victory. To be honest, Dominik Mysterio, I think, will push him to the limit. We've got now things equal into play with the kendo sticks, Rey being in the corner, Murphy being taken out. It's going to have a lot of fun, and I think this has got actually the potential to be the match of the night. Believe you me, I know it's Dominik's first match. Maybe I'm overhyping it for you at this stage, but from what I've seen of him, I think he looks good. He can take a bump. He seems to be fine with the kendo stick. Yes, I mean, perhaps moveset and that we might have to see how it's going to play out, but I think this is going to be a good match. Rollins will help carry this to a really good match as well. Don't forget, Rollins is a solid worker, but I expect Seth Rollins to pick up the victory here of the two. I think it's going to be more of an escape job, but I do expect the Monday Night Messiah to walk away with the victory. Next, let's talk about my favourite rivalry of 2020 so far. It is Mandy Rose versus Sonya Deville, and they're going to be competing in a hair versus hair match. Now, I must admit, I'm not usually a fan of the hair stipulation. I must admit, throughout the years, I've always felt, what's the point with it? But with this storyline, it kind of does actually make a bit of sense, and they've kind of worked it in over time. And this feud's been building now for a good 6 months, and I think both women who have been given this opportunity have absolutely nailed it. They've knocked it out of the park. Sonya Deville's jealous streak turning on Mandy and not liking her affection for Mandy's affection for Otis, I think it's been absolutely superb. Mandy has been attacked multiple times by Sonya. Sonya has owned every promo that she has done. They've had a couple of matches together and Sonya has always come out the victor. Mandy has been attacked a couple of weeks ago and then the hair stipulation was brought into place. You could see Sonya wanted to make Mandy ugly. She cut off some of her hair. You could see she was brutalized, hit. Makeup was all over the place. It looked bloody, but it was lipstick to be fair. And Mandy actually retaliated with an amazing promo and attacking Sonya in return. So hair versus hair is the stipulation here at SummerSlam, and I think these two ladies have done an unbelievable job, let me tell you. I think that both of them have got a bright future in the rest of 2020 in WWE, mark my words. I'm not sure if this will be the finish of this feud, but if it was to finish here with Mandy going over, I think it would be the perfect way to end it. Mandy will get her victory. I think Sonya, yes, sadly would lose her hair, but I have a feeling that Sonya Deville, with her character work and the way she's been delivering promos in 2020 and the way that that character is evolving, I think she can make that gimmick work as well as Kurt Angle did back in 2002. So I expect bright things for both of these ladies going forward. Hair or no hair, I think that 2020 is a bright future for both of these ladies. But for my prediction, I'm going to go for Mandy Rose. Next, let's look at the Raw Tag Team Championships, and we've got the Street Profits going to be defending against Andrade, Angel Garza, and of course in their corner will be Zelina Vega. So basically, Montez Ford had been poisoned, something had been slipped in his drink by the looks of it. After this week on Raw, we saw the footage that Zelina Vega was the culprit. Now she's already been, well, beaten up by Bianca Belair. It will be interesting to see if Bianca is going to be ringside with her husband and with Angelo Dawkins as well as this tag team encounter goes on. But looking at the two teams here themselves, Angel Garza and Andrade have been quite dominant going into things. This week on Raw felt like a turn of the guard. We found out that Zelina was the one, like I said, to put something in Montez Ford's drink. We saw as well that Angelo Dawkins, of course, was the guy that was kind of revealing that footage along with Samoa Joe. But Montez Ford also picked up a victory against Andrade. So, looking at this, it actually feels that the Street Profits go into the pay-per-view with the momentum. Now, if we take that momentum part aside, let's look at the Street Profits. They've been champions now for well over 6 months. I do question where they go from here if they continue as the Raw Tag Team Champions. Now, this match can go either way. I would not be surprised to see either team walk away with the victory. But I'm going to predict for new Raw Tag Team Champions because I feel that we've built up Angel Garza and Andrade for so long now, and we've kind of had, are they a team? Aren't they a team? Are they on the same page? Are they not? Well, they're on the same page, it feels, for now, even if it slightly has that dysfunctional taste still slightly. I feel that these guys should win the titles now because I think if there was a draft later in the year, I wouldn't be surprised to see this group disband before that stage. And the reason I say that is because Zelina and Andrade as a partnership, as much as I think it works and works well, I do believe that it causes complications backstage because wherever they are drafted, Charlotte Flair and Aleister Black have to be in the same place as well. So I think for them, simplicity would be to break this up at some point, but I do think they deserve a championship reign with the Raw Tag Team Championships first. If they win the belts, is the feud over? For me, not by a long shot. But I'm going to go for new Raw Tag Team Champions here, and I expect maybe this could lead into Payback the following week with the rematch. But we'll have to wait and see if and when that comes around. But, as I say, for a prediction, I'm going to go for the heels. I'm going for Garza and Andrade to be your new Raw Tag Team Champions as of SummerSlam. Next, let's look at the United States Championship. Apollo Crews going to be defending against MVP. Now, Apollo has had a lot of the momentum going into this. Of course, this really stemmed from the fact that we didn't get the match of the horror show between these two because he was out after being injured by Bobby Lashley in storyline terms. He returned, he defended his championship successfully against MVP. Now, of course, this is when the Retribution Nights were going off. MVP said he was put off during the match. He made things personal by discussing family matters with Apollo after the match, and he really gave that personal touch to this. And I must admit, this, if it was going to be done as a rematch, it needed a personal feel to it, and I do feel that we've sort of had that with this rivalry going into SummerSlam. With the Hurt Business as well, now we know they're banned from ringside. Apollo did defeat Shelton Benjamin this week on Raw, so that means things go in Apollo's favour, which would make you think then that maybe things would go in favour of MVP. If you like to think of 50-50 booking, this would surely then mean that Apollo, everything's in his court, it must be obvious he's going to retain, or we'll have a new US champion. Well, I'm going to go and flip that because we had a 6-man elimination tag later in the evening. Now, Apollo Crews was defeated in that. Now, of course, it was by Bobby Lashley, and he did pin MVP on Raw, which again furthers the idea that maybe MVP could become US champion, but at the end of things, the Hurt Business were the team standing tall. So for me, on the stance of 50-50 booking, it certainly isn't 50-50, it's more 90-10, but I still think we're going to look to build the future here, and we're going to give Apollo Crews the victory here at SummerSlam. But I wouldn't be surprised, again, I'm not sure 100% of what I feel. This could go either way, so don't be surprised to see a new champion here. But I'm going to go for Apollo as my prediction. So let's go into the women's championship scene because Asuka is going to be taking on 2 champions here. She's going for the SmackDown and Raw Women's Championship. So let's start off here by talking about the match she's going to have first as announced on Raw. Bayley said that she will go first and she'll give Sasha an easy evening after she defeats Asuka. Well, I have got a theory of how this may go. Now, of course, this could go either way. I think Asuka is at least winning one championship. Even if she loses this match, she'll win the next one. Or if she wins this one, she could lose the next one. I think Asuka walks away with at least one championship. That I am confident about. But when we look here at these championship matches here, let's go on a little storytelling fantasy booking, shall we? Now, Bayley and Sasha Banks have been involved of the will they, won't they rivalry for the longest time now, since before WrestleMania. It didn't happen, and it's gone now. We're supposed to be at SummerSlam. It feels like it's been delayed further. They now have all the gold. They have, as we say, the Women's Championships. They're going to be defending the Tag Team Championships the following week at Payback. What if both of them may lose the belts on this evening? So let's start off here by talking about Bayley. I think Asuka is going to win this. We've had a number of matches with these two on Raw already. I think Asuka is going to win here. I think that she's going to win in quick fashion as well, which is not only going to shock everyone at home, it's going to shock Sasha Banks, because Asuka will feel near enough fresh for her second match. And remember, we can have time on Raw and SmackDowns for 20-minute matches. On pay-per-view, it's not as easy. So for storyline purposes, I think Bayley is going in thinking she's got an easy night, and actually, because she's got Sasha by her side, and Sasha thinks she's got an easy night, I think they're going to be shocked. I expect this match to last no longer than a few minutes. So I'm going to go for Asuka to pick up the victory, and we have a new SmackDown Women's Champion. Now, I do think it's a shame Bayley loses the belt here. I do think it should be to someone else. I think someone should have got an opportunity here instead of Asuka, instead of continuing having potential double champions and all the rest of it. But WWE wants to go with the people they trust. I think that this is linked as well with the Kairi Sane write-off of TV. Of course, Bayley was the one that took Kairi Sane out and it wrote her out of WWE. This was mentioned on Raw, which I was very pleased about. So it feels like a revenge factor here. I think Asuka will get that revenge. And I still think if we are going to have Bayley and Sasha Banks somewhere down the line, then maybe it can start from the fact that they're losing their championships rather than actually losing championships to each other. So I'm going to go for Asuka to defeat Bayley here, and I think it doesn't harm the Sasha Banks feud. So let's look later in the evening. I said then that we would have Bayley lose in a few minutes, and I think then it really sparks the questions of, is Bayley jealous that Sasha is the champion and she is not? No, Sasha is the double champ and she is not. Remember, it was Bayley those straps longer. She was that first. She's the one that's been the role model and craving kind of the primary spotlight for the majority of 2020. Sasha Banks has only really kind of taken spotlight herself since becoming the double champion in the last few weeks. It feels that Sasha Banks has got really back to the position. If you go back to WrestleMania, I don't think she was booked near as strong as Bayley, and it's only over the last recent times that we've seen Sasha Banks really come into her own, and these two dominate WWE TV no matter what brand they've turned up on. Now, I think Asuka here will be looking to try and get both belts. I think that Shayna Baszler, of course, wants Asuka to do it as well, so she can face her for the Raw Women's Championship. The question is, will we get Asuka 2 belts? We'll have to wait and see with that. I think that we're going to get it, and here's my reason why. I think then that this puts a lot of nerves for Payback, because all of a sudden they've had championships after Payback and defending the Women's Tag Team Championships. They could end up with nothing. And I do predict it's going to be Asuka and Shayna Baszler as the team that will be taking on the Golden Role Models at Payback. Now, we'll have to wait and see. We won't know that till next week. And I will be doing a Payback predictions video next week, so do keep an eye out for that. But I expect Asuka will be winning both belts here. Now, am I in favour of that? Like I said, I would have preferred someone else to have got the opportunity to have defeated Bayley, maybe someone on the SmackDown side of things. I do think we're relying on the same faces here, but at the same time, this is is a big deal. Becky Lynch has done it previously, so it's not something that's been alien. We have seen it before in WWE, and I think that they want a trusty pair of hands to be on Raw and SmackDown at the minute. And of course, if Bayley and Sasha remain tag team champions, they can appear on Raw, and if Asuka has the SmackDown Women's Championship, she can also appear on SmackDown. So I think that this keeps all three ladies on both shows, particularly while they are actually doing shows with perhaps more of a limited roster, and as well the fact that they're doing them in the same arenas. I think it's a lot easier for the schedules for people at this particular time. So that's my reasoning for it. I think Asuka walks away double champion from SummerSlam. Now, I think that you'll never see that coming. Well, I'm going to predict that we just might. Next, let's look at the Universal Championship match, and we've got a clean-shaven, well, certainly on the top of his head, Braun Strowman, the new monster among men, seems to have come back, taking on the Fiend, Bray Wyatt. And let's talk about this in a little bit of depth. We've had a lengthy rivalry with these two, but we've had different layers all the way through this, which in one way you could say makes it a very good storyline, but in another sense, there has been some plot holes in places. I can't say it's been perfect all the way through, but we had, the guy that's Mr. Rogers, if you want, type of Bray Wyatt kind of character. He was involved in the first loss there. We then got the Eater of Worlds back, Bray Wyatt, and now we've got the Fiend. And of course, after the Swamp Fight, the Fiend emerged, but also we have this new Braun Strowman. The monster is back, and to the point that he's got a new look. He doesn't care about Alexa Bliss anymore, which he now claims she was the reason that he'd kind of become soft. He was manipulated and kind of in love. He doesn't feel that way anymore. He is the monster. In fact, even picked her up and threw her on the last episode of SmackDown, which of course isn't the first time Alexa's been involved in this sort of visitation during this rivalry. She was of course initially abducted by the Fiend and put in the mandible claw. So interesting is what's going to happen here. We've got 3 interesting characters in a very interesting story, and something that's definitely after this last week has got my attention. The question will be what Alexa Bliss does at SummerSlam, if she's involved at all. The question is, what is Braun's motive? Is this genuine, what he's saying? Does he really not care anymore? Have we really got the monster back? Or does he care that much about Alexa that if he feels he behaves like the way he's just done, the Fiend will realise that he doesn't care about Alexa Bliss and will leave her alone? There's always that flip side of it. But from what we've seen, the Fiend looks very happy. It looks like that maybe this is what he wanted all along. He wanted that monster back. It's almost as if Braun Strowman has become a cross between the truck flipping guy that we saw in 2017 and that character that was a part of the Wyatt family, a darker Braun Strowman. And for the first time last week, I genuinely believed that with Braun and the Fiend, that it didn't matter either way who won here, and it was not going to affect the other guy. Both guys look kind of strong here. You could argue with the new Braun Strowman, if you want to believe in it, that maybe he needs to win more here, in fact. But for me, if I'm going to make a prediction, I will say that if we're going to have one false finish and one screwy finish where we need to lead this to payback, I think this is potentially the match. I even believe this could lead, if maybe say both superstars do something where they incapacitate themselves to not answer a count of 10, that we could lead this to a last man standing match next week. That is my prediction of where I think this will go. But if I had to pick one side or the other, I'm going to go for the Fiend, because Braun has been champion now since WrestleMania. Even though now for the first time I actually believe in the championship run that we've had with Braun, because I must admit for me it has been a lackluster reign to this point. But I do think the Fiend wants that championship back, and I do think he will eventually get it back. I think when this rivalry ends, the Fiend is the champion. But what I would say is that I don't think this rivalry is just finished yet. I wouldn't be surprised to see it go through Payback, and I wouldn't be surprised if it even went as far as Hell in a Cell in October. Last but not least, let's talk about the WWE Championship, and arguably the 2 men on the hottest streak of 2020 in the men's division, especially on the Raw side. The WWE Champion Drew McIntyre taking on the Viper, the legend killer, Randy Orton. Now, Drew McIntyre had an unbelievable 2020. The Royal Rumble victory that really propelled him to that main event level. He beat Brock Lesnar in 5 minutes, of course, at WrestleMania. Then beat the Big Show. Let's not forget that part was actually on the same night. And Drew has been unbelievable since he's been on a winning run, beating so many different superstars. It's such a shame that Drew McIntyre has not been able to enjoy this first championship reign in front of fans. You cannot help but feel sorry for that. But I do think that Drew will have his moment in the future in front of fans as the champion. On the flip side, Randy Orton has become the legend killer. He's become the Randy Orton. He's got that spark back. It really feels like this is Randy Orton, the best we've seen him since 2009, 2010. I really believe that as well when I say it. Randy Orton is a character that feels like he belongs at the top of the card once again. He's destroyed Edge and has done some of the best promos that he could literally have done for such a long time, only the way that we know the Viper can do them. He's now taken out legends almost on a weekly basis. He's punted Shawn Michaels. He's punted a pensioner, a Ric Flair, god damn it. He's almost, took out other people as well. The Big Show was another one that he took out also. So Randy Orton is on an incredible roll as well. The question is, who will walk away the victor at SummerSlam. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if Drew was to retain, but my question is, where does Drew go next? You could also argue who would be a good challenger afterwards for Randy Orton, that maybe this feud would need to continue beyond this pay-per-view. I wouldn't have a problem with that, I'd be perfectly honest. But this is how I think it should go down. I think Randy Orton should walk away the victor. It should be an RKO out of nowhere that you'll never see coming. Of course, I've got to use the slogan once again. Randy Orton to hit the RKO and get the 1, 2, 3. I think it will culminate a great 2020 for Randy Orton. We'll show what progress and how much it's really revitalized that character that he has had, becoming the legend killer once again. Is it a shame for Drew McIntyre? As I said before, yes it is, but I think he can regroup and he can win the belt back at maybe the Royal Rumble, let's say, or WrestleMania, potentially in front of fans, and he can really have that moment to shine. I think Drew McIntyre from this point, if he was to become the victor, I think there is a risk that, okay, he would have a strong run as champion, he would run out of people to face, and the championship run would potentially come stale to the point that you wouldn't want to see it a second time later down the line. So my prediction is Randy Orton to pick up the victory. So that's the matches, that's the predictions there for you for SummerSlam 2020. As for You'll Never See It Coming, well, I'm not quite sure what that slogan is going to mean. I'm looking forward to the element of surprise. Of course, we are going to be in the Amway Centre. We're hopefully going to see the Thunderdome in full process as well. The set hopefully should look fun, virtual fans or fans on the screen. So it should be a fun process to watch and sort of feeling a fresh, newer experience. I hope Retribution are the involvement of some sort of this You'll Never See It Coming at SummerSlam. Maybe it's some sort of attack in the end of the main event. Maybe it's, again, some sort of a way of attacking or destroying the set, although I do kind of feel that we've sort of seen that. I want to see some sort of takeover. Maybe You'll Never See It Coming. Maybe it's a reveal that the hacker is involved, it's come back and it's a part of Retribution. I think that would be, for me, the highlight and the coolest way of doing it, because then all of a sudden you've brought these two storylines into one and it would bring some real excitement going forward. I think that maybe it needs some sort of build that will go into that Payback pay-per-view the next week, and perhaps Retribution is where the direction we'll be heading into after SummerSlam. But that's all from me anyway, talking about WWE SummerSlam. Let me know your predictions in the comments below. Please like, share and subscribe. Share with a friend. Let them know about SCW. Plenty of reasons to be in tune with the channel this week. The Q&A was uploaded yesterday. We've got Impact Wrestling discussion tomorrow, NXT TakeOver predictions on Thursday, and This Week in Wrestling coming on Friday. So lots of reasons to be around on the channel. Like I say, please like, share and subscribe. Hope you guys have a great day. Thank you for watching the video. I'll see you next time here on YouTube.com. Take care.